Good day, children. Welcome to math. All right, so let's talk today about dividing decimals. Now, before we get into actually dividing decimals, I want to teach you something that you might not know. And so I want us to be able to have a good understanding of this concept before we get into actually dividing decimals. And the concept is, if I have a math problem or a division problem, let's say I have 6 divided by 2. Well, we know 6 divided by 2 is 3. Yes, we know 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, if I were to move the decimal point in both of these numbers out 1, so instead of 6, I would have 60 divided by, instead of 2, I would have 20. What would my answer be when I move my decimal out in both parts of my division problem? What would my answer be? Well, it would actually stay exactly the same. 60 divided by 20 is still 3. If I have 60 things, I'm splitting it between 20 people, they each get 3 things. If I were to move my decimals out again and do 600 divided by 200, I would still get 3. And this works when decimals go in or out. If I were to take this original problem here, and I were to move my decimals in one place and have 0.6 divided by 0.2, that would still equal 3. Okay, so you can move your decimals. When you're dividing, you can move your decimal points as long as you move them both the same distance on both numbers. On both of these numbers, I have to move my decimal points the same number of places in order to keep my answer the same. Okay, I need to move my decimal the same number of places in order to keep my decimal, or my answer, the same. The reason I'm teaching you that is because when we divide decimals, when we're dividing out our decimals and we're doing our math, it will get to the point where we don't want to have decimals in our answers. Let's say, for example, I had 4.32 divided by 3.6. Okay, so I'm going to take my division problem, my decimal division problem. I'm going to take these numbers, I'm going to turn them into long division. Remember, long division, my second number goes on the outside, and my first number goes on the inside. 3.6 on the outside, 4.32 on the inside. Now, once I set it up like this, the rule I want to follow is no decimals in my outside number. Okay? No decimals in my outside number. I don't want my outside number to have any decimals in the problem. So to do that, I'm going to move this decimal one place over here. So it's now a whole number. Now it's just 36. 36 is easier to deal with. So we're going to leave that as 36. But remember, in order for my answer to stay the same, I need to move both decimal places the same number of places. Since I moved this decimal one place over, I'm going to take this decimal, move it one place over, and put it right here. So this 4.32 divided by 3.6 is the same thing as 43.2 divided by 36. And that's going to be the math problem I'm working on right now. That's the problem we're working on that I want to solve here. This is now moved. My decimal is now all on that side. All right. Now, once I don't have any decimals on my outside number, I want to take my inside decimal, move it straight up, and then forget about it. I'm not going to deal with that decimal anymore. That's just going to be for my answer. I don't have to do anything else with it. Now I start my division. 36 goes into 4. Well, 36 can't go into 4. That's ridiculous. 36 goes into 43 one time. That's 36. 43 minus 36 is 7. Bring this 2 down. 36 goes into 72 twice. And I get a grand total of 1.2. So 4.32 divided by 3.6 equals 1.2. 43.2 divided by 36 equals 1.2. Okay, so I don't want my second number to have any decimal points. I want to move this one out 1. And because I do that, I have to move this one 1. And it will turn into this new math problem here. Okay, turns into that good stuff right there. If I had 12.95 divided by negative 1.25, well, now I have a negative. And I need to remember, what is my rule for dividing by a negative? In this situation, I have different signs. When I have different signs and I'm dividing by a negative, I know that that's going to mean my answer is negative, and then the rest of my math I can just do on my own. So, remember what I said. We do not want a decimal in the second number. We're going to move this one 2 places to get it all the way out. If we move this one 2 places, we move our other decimal 2 places. So now our new problem is 1,295 divided by 125. Negative 125. So we put that in, 125 on the outside. On the inside, we got 1295. 125 does not go into 1, does not go into 12. It does go into 129 once with, this turns into 125. This gives me a 4. Bring down this 5. 125 cannot go into 45. So since I have a remainder here, I'm going to add a decimal and bring it up. Add a 0 and bring it down, and say 125 goes into 450 3 times, and that gives me 375. And then I'll subtract these, and I'll get what do I got? Borrow 3. Whoops, this should be 4, 10, that's a 5, that's a 14, that's a 7. Gives me a 75. Since I have a remainder, I'm going to add a 0 and bring it down again. 125 goes into 750 6 times. And 125 times 6 is 750. So I get a grand total of negative 10.36. This is negative 10.36. Both the same. It just comes down to me doing my long division, making sure I know my long division, making sure I know my integer rules, and making sure I don't ever have a decimal in that last digit. All right, what if I was doing a problem and it looked something like negative 12 divided by negative 1.6. Negative 12 divided by negative 1.6. Now, my integer rules say negative divided by negative is going to give me a positive number. So I know my answer will be positive. And now, I don't care about these negatives anymore. These negatives mean nothing to me. I'm going to get rid of them. Don't care, because I know my answer will be positive. But I also know that I do not want to have a decimal in my second number. I'm going to move this decimal out 1 place. I'm going to take the decimal that's not here. I'm going to put it here. Remember, any number can have a decimal at the end. We talked about that a couple days ago. Any number can have that decimal point at the end. And I'm going to move this 1 place as well and fill in with a 0. This gives me the math problem of 120 divided by 16. 120 on the inside, 16 on the outside. 16 goes into 1. No. Goes into 127 times. 16 times 7 is 112. Gives me an 8. 0. Drop it down. 16 goes into 85 times. Gives me an 80. Gives me no remainder. 12 divided by -1. Negative 12 divided by -1.6 is 7.5. All right, let's talk some more about this in class. Please come with questions, ready to ask, ready to learn, ready to have a wonderful attitude for all things math. I will see you next class. Have a great day.